Who can imagine that there is a piece of land in this world that does not belong to any country? There is a part of Antarctica that commits her name Mary Borland, and it does not belong to any country because it is a frozen piece and no one wants to live in it. Another piece of land in Africa is between Sudan and Egypt. Nobody lives there. The area is barren desert and anyone can claim ownership of it. Neither Sudan nor Egypt recognizes it as part of its territory. As for the third piece of land, it is the strangest of all of the above. This land is located in the heart of the European continent between two countries that are members of the European Union, where logically you will think that every inch of Europe is controlled by a specific country, which is somewhat true, but next to the Danube River between the countries of Serbia and Croatia there is a piece of land that each country rejects, and this land whose area is the three do not exceed a square mile and do not belong to any country. Rather, these countries refuse to annex them to their lands, and this is a strange and rare occurrence, which is what an international law called terra nullius is, according to which anyone on the planet, including you, is officially entitled to claim ownership of this land and build an independent state in it. You will be the king over it. But what is the story on this earth with radiation? Is it ghosts or world war mines? The story is completely different. Along the western bank of the Danube between Serbia and Croatia, and about halfway between Zug and Belgrade, there is a 3-mile square off-limits patch of land, with nothing but stones and trees. Both Serbia and Croatia refuse to take control of it. The only road leading to this land is a narrow, winding dirt track, and there is only one hunting hut, even the origin of which is unknown. The story is strange. It began in the late 19th century, as it was during that period that the Danube River was accepted as a natural border between regions, such as many countries in the world, separated by rivers of all borders between Brazil and Paraguay and Argentina at that stage, which was the entire region under the control of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which later became Croatia and Serbia. The course of the river was tortuous and difficult for large boats to navigate, so an engineering process was implemented to widen the river, and indeed they succeeded and it became easy for commercial boats to cross it. But this engineering process created 4 large parcels of land attached to the Serbian side, and a small parcel of Serbia became the Croatian side. After the World War and the collapse of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the problem began to appear, and Serbia and Croatia found themselves inside Yugoslavia, which in turn collapsed in the year 1990 as a domino stone. The collapse of the Soviet Union. After World War I and the collapse of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the problem began to appear, and suddenly both Serbs and Croats found themselves two separate countries geographically because of the Danube River, which divides the geography of the two countries. At first it was not important because they were one country, but now, since they are two independent countries, it has become very important. He started engineering works and expanded the river, and over the years, it washed away with it about 100 square kilometers of Croatian lands towards the western side of Serbia, while only about 30 square kilometers of Serbian lands were swept to the sides of Croatia, which is a very small percentage compared to the lands that Croatia lost. Serbia is happy and caught the last out. From its point of view, the border between it and Croatia is the Danube River as it is today. When Croatia is very angry and says no. The original boundary is the boundary that the Danube used to have in the past, i.e. before the modifications and excavations. Thus, the piece of land that everyone rejects and that is located on the west side of the river is actually part of Croatia. But Croatia refuses to recognize that it belongs to it and under its sovereignty, because if it did that, then this means that they recognize that the legal borders are the river and nothing else, i.e. they actually recognize from Serbia's point of view, the biggest loser in this case will be Croatia. This means that both sides claim ownership of the lands located in the east of the river, while neither of them claims ownership of the lands located in the west of the river, so that their lands become literally theirs and no one in the world claims ownership of them. Which means anyone in the world right now, including you. Under international law, you can claim ownership of that land, and you can build your own state in it and set yourself up as the king of that land. Well, this is the theoretical part of the story, but in practice, the story is different. Since the case came out to the public, hundreds of people have tried to enter that land, but unfortunately they have been arrested by the border guards and Croatian soldiers who surround all parts of that land and do not allow anyone to enter it. In the year 2015, a person named Luka's grandfather, a Czech politician, was wandering around in the Google search engine, and he came across an article on Wikipedia containing a list of neutral countries and countries that no one recognizes, as well as untouchable plots of land, so that his eyes fall on this piece of land located between Serbia and Croatia. He planned to collect the kit and design a world. On 13 April 2015, he went infiltrating and entered the Forbidden Lands without being seen by the Croatian guards, raising his own flag on it, and even declaring the establishment of his own state, which he called the Liberal Republic of Free Land or the Land of Freedom, to be the third smallest sovereign state in the world after the Vatican and Monaco. In the sense of this alleged state, no one lives in it, and there is almost nothing in it except a river, stones and food, so it cannot be considered as a state because it does not have any of the components of the state, and the most important of these components are the people and the citizens, otherwise it will be considered a ghost state. Since the day the establishment of the state was declared, a website of its own was established to spread the idea among people in the world and explain the principles and values of this republic. Lebanon does not have an army and its motto is live and let others live. Therefore, since its inception, it has launched a large campaign calling on people from all over the world to be citizens of Liberland with basic conditions for accepting applications, which is respect for the freedom and opinions of others, regardless of their race, religion and country. Respect the private property of you citizen, and finally your criminal record should be clean of any crimes. Indeed, the number of registered people has reached more than 700,000 people who want to become citizens of this new country, including 12,000 Americans, and also a large number of them from the Arab countries of Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya and Jordan. Liberland has a number of embassies and consulates around the world, numbering 50 countries, including America, Britain, Turkey, Tunisia, Libya, and also its neighbor Serbia. He applied for admission to parliament membership in the United Nations, but unfortunately, the recognition was refused. The most important point that Liberman state focuses on to attract the attention of the wealthy in the world is that this state will be a tax-free state, unless you want to pay taxes to support the state financially. By the way, I joined the Libre site now, and you will not imagine what was achieved in the year 2016, that is, 7 years ago from now. Of course, I didn't tell anyone about this, they were just an experiment and an adventure. Indeed, I requested an electronic residence card from Liberman's country a week ago, in order to become an official citizen of this country. You can obtain this residency card for $150, of course, after you answer several questions, and thus you will officially become a citizen of Liberman's country, and so will I. Perhaps after that I will apply for a passport from Liberman's country. The strange thing is that during his meeting, he was arrested several times by the Croatian forces because of his entry into that forbidden land, which until now prevents anyone from entering it, and whoever enters it enters into a secret we do not know. Although both Serbia and Croatia do not claim ownership of that land, they agreed to never allow a small state to arise between them, because this matter would be considered a national threat to both countries, as happened with the Bay of Pigs crisis, which was considered and still is the only crisis that was closer. A devastating nuclear war, all because of a small communist country in South America, but its loyalty was to the Soviet Union. If the country was declared an independent country, it could request protection from a superpower such as America, Russia, Britain and even China. At that time, those countries could build military bases on Liberland, and they could place nuclear bombs in this country as well, as the Soviet Union did with Cuba, or this country could join NATO. So in practice and on paper you can go to that land and declare your ownership of it, but in reality no one will allow you to enter it. Of course, we say in Moroccan dialect, "Get all Carlos out of your house." He said that for those who want to become a citizen of the program country and request residency. I put the website link for you below the video in the description. You can access it and fill in your data while you attend in general. Did you know that Saudi Arabia imports sand from Australia? This information will shock many of you, so I have listed everything for you in this episode. Click on them and watch it in order to know the real information.